Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 90th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Alonso, joined on the other side of Discord by Nicholas O'Brien. Nicholas O'Brien, how doing is our
Good am.
good am? Okay.
Good am. Good am.
As everyone saw, we are doing our division predictions for this week's episode. Before
Right,
we do
like it.
that, we just have a couple of housekeeping things. Might as well start with the New York Yankees since I'm talking now, and we completely forgot to discuss which one's going first. So, I almost said Jack Leiter. Mark Leiter Jr. will be ready for opening day. He's throwing bullpens. Seems to be fine. It wasn't confirmed when we last talked, but Garrett Cole did undergo Tommy John surgery. He got internal bracing done in his elbow. He's expected midsummer of next year. Hopefully, this is one of those stories where it's like, oh, he got the Tommy John, got the internal bracing, so this helps him pitch into those late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah,
So, which I think for a guy like Garrett Cole, who's so in tune with his body, because not getting Tommy John until you're 34 is impressive. For a guy that
definitely.
throws that many
Especially,
innings, so
yeah, especially in this day and age where like you get drafted and you get Tommy John.
yeah, he was the number one overall pick too, right?
Yeah, way back
Yeah,
when.
so
I'm pretty sure.
because even Kyle, I think it was Kyle Gibson was on a podcast and he was talking about like if you could add an extra mile an hour to your velo, that's .3 taken off your ERA. That was kind of the
Right.
philosophy he had when the pitching staff had with the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
So guys were seeing that and we're seeing money. So that's
Right.
another reason why. But I'm going off topic. Um, Clark Schmidt, he will not start today with shoulder soreness. They said he'll throw a bullpen instead. I don't understand the difference really.
I guess maybe not as like what's the word?
Intense.
Yeah. Maybe save some intensity or kind of just like an easy bullpen, not kind of really going all out. Just kind of see how the shoulder reacts to pitches and then how he recovers. But a little scary, a little
It's
scary.
just I don't know. I feel like you weird, but he has to pitch. He just has to because if he doesn't, do you know who their number 5 starter is?
No, oh, is it Carrasco?
Do you know who their number 3 starter is?
Was would Stroman be the three, or was Stroman already the three?
Marcus
No,
Stroman would be
yeah,
the 3.
Stroman would be the three. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
Yikes.
this rotation went from having Clark Schmidt as your number 5 starter, which is absolutely absurd, to Marcus Stroman being your 3.
Yeah. This depth definitely took a hit in the last 2 weeks.
Dude, I think Clark Schmidt may be one of, if not the best 5 starters in baseball, if he was your 5 starter.
Yeah.
And it's just, it fucking sucks everything. Um, yeah, that's it for that. And then the last little tidbit is Giancarlo Stanton is now working through a calf injury. That'll keep him out until at least Memorial Day. But it's Giancarlo Stanton, so add on another 3 weeks.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't really care about the calf when his elbows are
Yeah,
hanging on by a thread.
if they even are.
Right.
I'm near at the point where I'm just like, just get the surgery, man.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's
Uh, it's tough.
because I talked about how much power is he really gonna have with tendonitis in both elbows, and he
Right.
has no power.
Yeah. I mean, if he played through it during the playoffs, no.
Yeah, it's also one of those things of you could only play through it until you literally just lose power in it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you could get creative with the DH solution, which I kind of want to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not even a knock on Stan. I just want him to be. If you could have him healthy for the playoffs, that's all that fucking matters. But if he gets surgery, he's cooked for the year, just done.
Yeah.
And do you think he gets it? Just outside looking in,
I
just
don't.
reading the room.
I honestly don't know. I think it seems like they're trying everything in their power to avoid it, which I mean makes sense. If you don't need a major surgery, why get it? But um, yeah, it seems like they want to avoid it. So I would, unless things just don't change, I probably wouldn't expect them to get anything.
Yeah, I I feel like he's one of those guys that like it's always setback, 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 setback,
Yeah.
setback, setback. I think he's gonna get it, but that's just mere speculation. Doesn't really fucking matter. Who cares? But that's all I had for the Yankees and our very
Yeah.
quick boom, boom, boom on the Yankees. So
All right.
the
Well,
Metropolitans.
my time, my boom boom for the Mets. Couple injury notes. Just gonna quickly go through like three, and then the biggest one from the last week. Brandon Nimmo, he played 2 games at DH this past week. He is unsure about his field availability come opening day, so he might DH, probably won't be playing the field. But before I woke up, the Mets posted their lineup for today, and he's playing left field. So that's a good step. That's a step in the right direction for Brandon Nimmo, who is dealing with the knee soreness. Starling Marte also got into games this past week. Only at DH. He looks good. He's getting into games. That's all that matters. AJ Minter, same thing. Made his debut this past week. I think he only made 1 appearance, but finally got into a game. So good things. And then Dednian Nunez threw 2 innings in live BP. It's the first time he did that this spring. They are taking it very, very slow with him because he was dealing with elbow issues last year. So Nunez kind of scares me because he kind of just seems like a ticking time bomb, unfortunately. But if they can rest and rehab him and all that, and he's good to go, then so be it. And then the last one, which sucks, I'm very sad about, Jeff McNeil strained his oblique. He will be out 3 to 4 weeks. McNeil kind of downplayed it a little. He, with obliques, they're always tricky, and you always gotta like be careful with it. But when they interviewed him about it, he was talking as if he wasn't feeling that much symptoms, which is good because one thing with obliques is you have to wait until you're symptom free to start ramping up. So if he's not feeling a ton right now, hopefully we're more in that 3 week stretch of him coming back. But what this does do, and I made a joke about it last week, but it's now a real possibility. It opens up second base to Brett Beatty and or Luis Angel Acuna, and at this rate, they're probably both making the roster, especially now with McNeil out.
Yeah.
So with Brett Beatty, the biggest thing is defense. How is he going to look at second base? He's looked fine in spring games. Um, I haven't really seen him turn any double plays because I don't think he's gotten a chance. So like that's the one thing I really want to see, but just hasn't been a chance for that. And then Luis Angel Acuna, he'll be fine defensively, but what is he going to give you on offense? He's having a pretty, I don't want to call it like dreadful, but he's not having a good spring. We'll just put it like that. And then the last option, which I really don't think is an option, is utility man, 30-year-old journeyman Donovan Walton. Yeah. So when it comes to this, I think the easiest thing is just to have Beatty and Acuna on the roster. Worst case scenario, you like platoon them for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or one of them kind of takes a hold of the position, and then you have a very good problem when Jeff McNeil comes back. I don't know if you got any input on that, or kind of where do you see it kind of falling out?
The thing with McNeil too is I feel like it's expected for him to underplay it because the players
Yeah,
always
I
underplay the
guess
injuries,
it's
especially
fair.
with something like an oblique that you could feel no pain, but that doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Right,
So like
that's
you
fair.
could show essentially no symptoms, but that doesn't mean you're ready to go. So I think I always feel like obliques like you add a week or two on. And how
Mm-hmm.
old is McNeil?
It's like
31, 32,
33. No, he's like 33.
33. So he is on the older side. So that
Yeah,
is we've seen those soft tissue injuries. The older the guy is, the longer it's gonna take for the recovery. A lot more common that those things come back to bite them. So I definitely think it's gonna be slow played, which I think helps the Mets. And I think may give Brett Beatty his final chance of actual
yeah.
starting time to prove it. So, because if I'm the Mets, I like the floor that I have with Acuna.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see if Beatty's legit or not.
Yeah.
We've talked all offseason about how this is Beatty's last shot. He has to capitalize.
Yeah. Definitely. These opportunities keep landing in his lap, and eventually or at one point he just needs to finally grab it and run with it. So, like you said, this is his last shot. If he doesn't show anything after this, stash away in the minors, and he's probably gonna get traded like for nothing somewhere. So, but that's all I had for the Mets. Getting inching closer and closer to opening day. So a lot of these updates are more of, all right, is he gonna be ready or is he not? Because before it's like, all right, there's time. All right, there's time. All right, there's a week and a half left. So, but yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah. So you want to get into our award predictions?
Absolutely.
So the way we did our award predictions is we chose someone to win the award based off how many points they get. That's how many points we get. We add them up. I am 2-0 in this category because I am him. But there is an issue in years past where we would pick a guy,
I would
guys
pick a
would
guy.
get injured, guy would go down the first week of the season. So to counter that, we have an injury clause. If someone goes down in the first month of the season, you have the option to swap them out with your backup pick. Both of them go down, you're shit out of luck. That gets locked in May 1st at 12 o'clock a.m. Yes.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
I'll start with AL, then you go NL, and we'll just flip flop, flip flop, flip flop.
Flip, flop. Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
So starting off with the American League MVP. I don't think it's a shocker who I am taking for the American League MVP. I'm taking Aaron Judge. My only note, best right-handed season since integration last year. I The only thing is the freak injuries when he's getting older. That's literally the only question mark that you have. Maybe that he's gonna get walked too much if other guys in the lineup don't hit. But you saw that in 2022. He hit 62
Yeah,
fucking home runs when he got walked an absurd amount.
right.
Yet, let
It's
me
not an issue.
Aaron Judge had like a 458 on base last year or something like that, and he still had 57 home runs. Let me check this right now. It's definitely gonna be 458 too. It was 58 home runs. So it doesn't really matter if he's just gonna get walked that much, especially because I really like what you've seen in spring from a lot of the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, he's my. Do you want to do you do your main and then I do my backup? You do your backup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also taking Aaron Judge. I think it's one of those things where it's
A safe
it's
pick.
his until it's not. Uh, I mean, Bobby Wood Jr. was like his closest counterpart, I guess, but Witt also had the best shortstop season of all time last year, and it's very difficult to see him doing that again. If he does it, great, but with Aaron Judge, we've seen it for the past 3-4 years ish. Witt, we've only seen it for the 1 year.
Yeah.
So that's and then everyone else, it's like there's no clear besides Aaron Judge, of course. Like if Aaron Judge wasn't a player, maybe Witt, but like you could make an argument for so many other players, but it's Aaron Judge and everyone else.
Yeah. I
That's
went
that's really all I got.
I don't want to say I went wonky, but I probably went a guy that people wouldn't have in like top 3 or top 4
Okay.
for my backup. I went Vlad just because
I thought about him.
just
I
cuz
wrote him and then I deleted it.
you did.
Yes.
Because my thought process is, and you'll see it with another one of my picks, but contract to your player. There's how much arguments going back forth, back forth, back forth. He's a guy that lives for the moments that will live for a contract year. Last year he had horrible defense and he was a first baseman. He had a 5.5 WAR. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I am so bought into Vlad, and I think that say that Judge goes down, then I think he legitimately could win this. He could win the MVP. So that's
Yeah.
my backup pick.
That's fair. I think it's just obviously being a first baseman, being
That's
defensively not
yeah.
acquitted is
I took
definitely
it
his
as more of a
downfall.
chance to call my shot than anything
Yeah,
else.
that's fair.
Like if
The other
you had
thing
to
too
like
is he might get traded midseason.
that too. Like if you had to tell me like gun to my head who's my second MVP, it's probably not Vlad. It's probably either Witt or
Yeah,
Henderson. But
right.
it's more so a thing of it's a backup, might as well call my shot.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of Henderson, Gunnar Henderson is my backup. Gunnar was having a better, if bait or not, out the same par season than Bobby Witt last year. Going into the first half, I mean, going into like the All Star break into the second half, and he just had a very mediocre second half that kind of just brought all his stats down. So if he has a little more consistency, I think we can see a Bobby Witt Jr. type year from Gunnar Henderson with probably a little more power,
I was gonna say the
arguably.
power just like fell off a cliff, if I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm pulling
mistaken.
up his splits right now. In the first half, he had a 171 weighted runs created plus. Compare that to a 131 in the second half, which is still really good. Really good, but it's not.
What was it
I'd
in the first
say
half?
171. It's a
Yeah,
40-point
that's
drop off.
yeah.
Yeah, he slugged 584 in the first half, 447 in the second half.
My God,
So again, if he can just be a little
power
more
went off a cliff.
consistent, um, he's definitely gonna have another, top 5 MVP finish, top 3. But then there's Aaron Judge, so it's
Yeah.
not really much of a competition.
Did you want to do your NL MVP?
Yeah, we'll do that. So for my NL MVP, I'm doubling down. Oh well, first of all, for the NL, we are picking
Yeah, yeah.
non-Otani. Because if Otani pitches 120 innings and he has a 900 OPS, he's winning. We all understand that. We know that. But for the sake of content and discussion, our non-Otani picks is who these picks are.
Should have had a non-Aaron Judge rule, but
Eh, I think, see, for Judge though, because I texted you about this. At least there is a non-0% chance someone can have an insane year and beat Aaron
that's
Judge.
fair. That's fair.
If Otani has a mediocre year on both sides, he's still winning.
Yeah, that's fair.
But regardless,
Yeah.
Otani's the MVP. If he's not, I'm doubling down from last year. I'm picking Fernando Tatis Jr. again. He played through, I think, has a a stress reaction in his right femur last year, and then I was reading an article basically saying he never fully got healthy after that, and he was kind of playing the whole year on a broken leg. But that being said, he still had a 135 weighted runs created plus. He hit 276, got on base 340, slugged a tick below 500 at 492. He had the 10th highest difference in all of baseball between his weighted on base average and his expected weighted on base average. He brings you platinum glove defense. He can maybe steal a little more. It wouldn't hurt for him to take some walks. But Fernando Tatis is one of the most complete players in baseball. I think it's just a matter of time until he wins an MVP. And if he does this year, he brings the Padres from a third place team to maybe rivaling the Diamondbacks if he
Yeah.
plays at, an elite MVP level type season.
Yeah. I went with Kyle Tucker with my MVP
Hmm.
pick just because the same argument I used for Vlad about a contract year. Because Kyle Tucker is
Okay.
going to get absolutely fucking paid in the offseason. He had a 4.2 WAR last year in 78 games. I like the Tatis pick. My only thing with it is that I feel like every year he has something.
I know.
Every year
I
there's
know.
some, whether it be injury or off the field stuff or both, there's always something when it comes to Tatis.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I went with
That's
Kyle
fair.
Tucker. Just I really do think there is something to contract year players for like 80% of players. I
Hmm.
think really do step up when it comes to that. But
That's fair.
yeah, who's your backup?
Well, I was just gonna say for Tucker, I'm very interested to see how he plays out in Chicago
Yeah,
because he's the lefty,
lefty.
kind of his power might be a little zapped, all that. So
The thing
I
with
am
him,
interested, but I
I
don't
was
know.
gonna say the thing with
That's why I
him
was a
too
little.
is I feel like he's just not a pull hitter. Like
That's
he's
fair.
like one of those guys that he uses all fields, all that.
Yeah.
So that could also help him.
Oh,
Also, you're
100%.
pitching or you're hitting in a weak division. I
Yeah.
mean, outside of the Pirates, like I don't really think they have that good. I mean, yeah, you have some good starters with the Reds, like some
You
really
have a
high
lot of
upside starters.
solid starters,
Yeah,
but there's no multiple Paul Skeens and Jared
yeah,
Joneses. So
yeah. So
yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at with Cal Tucker, and I think that yeah, I kind of have that is the same argument for later about the divisions, but
Okay.
yeah, I got Kyle Tucker winning the MVP for the
All right.
NL.
Yeah. For my backup, I'm going with Ketel Marte. I think
Surprised you didn't do someone
he's
else.
such a good player. When was the last time a second baseman won MVP too? I think that would be really cool. He's one of the most important players on the Diamondbacks. If he has a bad year or if something happens to him, the Diamondbacks get a little scary. But Ketel Marte last year finished top 4 in WAR, 6.3.
Then
So
NL or MLB?
it's the NL.
Okay.
He had a 151 WRC plus. That should be the highest of his career. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. The highest of his career behind Juice Ball Merchant in 2019.
Yeah,
So, and his baseball savant is very red.
very, very red. We love our
So he
red
plays good
spots.
defense. He steals you a few bags. He hits home runs. I did not realize he hit 36 last year. Holy
Holy
shit.
shit.
He's in a very good lineup. He's on a very good team. If everything clicks, he slugged 560. Holy shit. I never really looked at his season.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, Ketel Marte, I think he's a hell of a player. And I think it'd be really cool to see a second baseman win MVP.
So I decided to go safe, and I'm shocked that you didn't go this for at least for 1 year picks. I went Juan Soto
Yeah.
just because he's gonna be top 5. That
Yeah,
is a probably most likely top 3. That is just a safe pick for me, and that's why I won it. So
that's fair.
that's the only reason why. But then going on to the AL Cy Young, with Garrett Cole going down, I think it's a lot more interesting, a lot more intriguing because
I
you
would
have a
argue it would still be interesting with Cole.
no, because I was gonna say you don't really have in like a guy with a pedigree.
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, like you could take Scooble, but even with Scooble, he only did it 1 year, so it's
Yeah.
not like he has this like history of like 5 years of dominance. So
Fair.
I went with a guy that I did not think that I would even consider doing until I kind of went a little bit more into the numbers. I went with Cole Reagans for my Cy Young
Interesting.
pick.
Okay.
So last year was fourth in whiff rate, ninth in Ks. He has 27,000 fucking pitches in 258 innings with the Royals. It's about a year and a half ever since he got traded. He's third in ERA, or he has a 3 ERA over those 260 innings, and he has like something crazy like 300 strikeouts. He's only 27 years old, and I've always said 27, 28 is kind of when those lefties really start to kind of kick it into gear.
Yeah.
So I think he's just now getting into his peak. I believe he was third last year in Cy Young, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He was
Third.
definitely up
Yeah.
like
Second or third.
second,
Yeah.
third, something like that in Cy Young. So I'm really bought into him. You're also in a very weak division,
Yeah.
especially offensively. Like Jose Ramirez, and then who?
Yeah. Basically.
You know what I mean? Like Royce Lewis is already the like unit
Yeah. He's
lost.
already hurt, of course.
What's his face? Carlos Correa is gonna play half the game, so he may not even face him. So I'm really in on Cole Reagans this year. I am all in on him for my
I,
Cy Young pick.
yeah. That's honestly not someone I thought you'd go with, but
Who'd you
I
think I would
love the
go with?
pick. I have no idea. No, because I agree with you. I think I would argue for both leagues, but we'll talk about it. Is kind of like wide open.
Yeah.
There's no more Jacob DeGroms, Max Scherzers, like Justin Verlanders that kind of like all right, like the veterans are
The
kind of like
prime
yeah,
Corey Klubers.
right. There's none of that anymore. Like we're kind of like in this new age where like it can be anyone's game. But I like Cole Reagans a lot, but I I don't know if I surprised myself with this, but I went with Logan Gilbert on the Seattle Mariners. He was sixth in WAR last year, fifth in the AL, ninth in ERA, seventh in FIP, fourth in expected FIP, and fourth in K minus walk rate. So top 10 in a lot of stats, top 5 in a lot of stats. Now, the biggest thing for Logan Gilbert, obviously, pitching in Seattle is his home and road splits. He had a 2.49 ERA at home, a 3.94 on the road. But with that, he was still top 15 on on the road in K minus walk rate and top 12 in expected FIP. So I think he has some of the quote unquote best home road splits of all of the Seattle pitchers. I think it's him and George Kirby are like 1 and 2. And I just I like his style of pitching a lot. He changed up a lot last year. He went from fastball heavy and kind of cut down below 50% of his fastball. I think he threw his slider the most. Yeah. Yeah, his pitch mix is just he just throws everything at you. 32% slider, 30% four seam, 13% splitter, 12% curveball, 10% cutter, and then he also tossed a sinker every now and again. And the one thing I love about Seattle pitching is that they're always improving. They're always adding a pitch. They're always like doing something else with to get better. And I think Logan Gilbert's probably the best out of the group, or most established out of the group, because the Seattle rotation is just insane. Um, the one thing I will say, he needs to improve his fastballs, his sinker, his four seam, his cutter. Didn't perform well as other pitches, but besides that, they all grade out very well in stuff models and all that. And then the second thing that's kind of like his biggest bugaboo is he's a first half merchant. This is his career ERA, 3.10 in the first half, 4.26 in the second half. So definitely need some more consistency for him to kind of unlock something else. And then the last thing for him is just he pitches. Like he's there every fifth day. He's one of the few guys that pitches 200 innings now. So if he pitches 200 innings and has like a sub 3.1 or sub 3 ERA, I think he's going to finish top 5 for sure. And if a lot of things break right, I think he could definitely win this.
Yeah, definitely a wonky
But,
one. Definitely has nothing to do with your absolute like love for the Mariners. Um,
mm-mm,
Speaking of
of
absolute
course not.
love, this is more just a shout out. I'm okay. I'm lying to myself and saying I'm okay. Um,
Okay.
this is also more just like a shout out to the guy because I said it so many times. He's one of the most criminally underrated pitchers in baseball. I just have Max Fried as my backup pick. I think something a lot of people aren't talking about is he did not really have that good defensive catchers last year, especially like
Mm-hmm.
framing and all that. So you're going to probably the best situation, would you say, for framing in the league when you also
Probably
include
one of the
backup.
best. Yeah.
So you're going from like a mediocre to below average to that. Your infield defense, I also think, has gotten a pretty sizable increase too. So for a ground ball pitcher, that means a lot overall.
Yeah.
So that combined with is just a great ballpark for ground ball pitchers that are lefties. And since 2019, he has the second best ERA in baseball at 3.06. So I love Max Fried. The only thing is the health. That's why I have him as the backup. But I also just really want to give him a shout out just because I think
Yeah.
he is criminally underrated.
Yeah, Max Fried's a safe pick. I think he's
Yeah,
definitely, if all goes well, he'll definitely finish top 10 at least. At least, because
Max Fried
he's never been, yeah, he's Max Fried. He's never been like, overpowering, but he's always just been solid, like really, really
with
good pitcher.
37 fucking pitches.
Right. So,
He's a
but
pitcher, not a thrower.
exactly. For my backup, I went the safe picks of all safe picks. I just went with Scooble. I think uh this AL is I don't want to call it weak because it's really not. But it's just
AL
again, there's
Central.
no not no. I'm just saying like for Cy Young picks
Oh,
overall for
okay.
the league, like it's not weak because it's not. But it's just nobody jumps out, you know. Besides Scooble, who did it last year, of course. Like no one jumps out to me.
Yeah.
But Tanner Houck was sixth in WAR last year in the AL, which he's a very good pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Again, there's no Degroms anymore. There's no Scherzers. There's no Verlanders. There's no like established veterans in their prime, which is cool because now it's up for grabs. But that's why I just went with Scooble. I think it's a safe pick, and he's most likely going to finish top 5 again. So moving on to the NL Cy Young, I went with a guy who's been the bridesmaid, never the bride, the past couple years. And I think this is the year it finally all clicks together. Because again, besides Paul Skeens, maybe, and even then, I have some issues with him. Like volume wise, there's no clear cut guy in the National League either. So I'm going with Zach Wheeler for my NL Cy Young pick. He was second in WAR last year, second in innings pitched, fourth in ERA, ninth in FIP, eighth in expected FIP, fifth in K minus walk rate. He was the runner up twice in the past 4 seasons, and he had 3 top 10 finishes in the past 4 seasons. Top 5 in stuff plus among starters. I mean, this guy is just a Cy Young waiting to happen. I think everybody can agree he's been one of the best pitchers since he ever signed with the Phillies. But I think this is the year finally all clicks for him. And kind of, again, when it comes to awards too, you kind of need things to go your way as well. It's not all about skill and talent. Sometimes you just need to luck into it. But, the rest of the National League is, Chris Sale. Is he going to pitch 175 innings again? I don't think so. Dylan Cease has always been really good, but never like above and away the best. And then Paul Skeens is how many innings is he gonna throw? He only threw 133 last year. Are the Pirates gonna like hold him back or anything? So I think Zach Wheeler is a safe pick, and B I think is just a really, I guess obvious kind of Cy Young candidate, and I think he'll finally get his award this season.
Very, very high floor, but an even higher ceiling. I think that that's a perfect way to describe him. But for my pick, I went with Paul Skeens, just because. Yeah, you can say what you want about the volume. Last year, he was the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
So that's all it is for me. He is uberly talented, and I think there was a case for him to be the Cy Young last year.
Right.
So I think you get him in here for a full year. If he could stay healthy, throw a 102 in that division, then I think that he is the Cy Young. If Paul Skeens throws 180 innings, in my opinion, he's a lock for the Cy Young.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
So that's kind of
Absolutely.
just where I'm. And pitchers are so finicky with like injuries and innings and all that. So I think it's almost a thing of you have to call your shots. And you could say like for any of these guys, oh, if they stay healthy, if they throw X amount of innings. So
Right.
yeah.
No, fair enough. Obviously don't hate it. I was so close to picking him as well, but I think I really just don't know what to expect from him volume wise.
It's a much
Um,
riskier pick than Wheeler.
yeah, for sure.
A
But
lot more
it,
variance.
yeah, even saying that, he's probably still, if all goes well, still finishing top 5, probably
Probably
top
top
3.
three. If he's healthy, he's
Yeah,
top three. A top three lock in my opinion.
yeah. So, yeah, I like that pick a lot. It makes sense. And the other thing too is like a lot of these guys who, because I'm looking at it now, a lot of these guys who finish like top 10 in WAR, Michael King might get traded, Dylan Cease might get traded, Sonny Gray maybe gets traded. I don't know, but then everyone else is kind of like, meh. But speaking of Sonny Gray, he is my backup. Even though I just said he might get traded. He had a sneaky good year last year that I feel like not a lot of people are talking about. Well, maybe that's because his surface numbers were a bit mediocre. 3.84 ERA, but a 3.12 FIP and a 2.82 expected FIP over 166 innings. And then I think he finished like top 5 in K minus walk rate. Yeah, fourth in K minus walk rate, right ahead of Zach Wheeler. So Sonny Gray is also another guy who's just a veteran. He's been here. He doesn't have a lot of pressure, so he just kind of goes out and balls out for the Cardinals. Maybe they get some traded and hope maybe it's still in the National League, so maybe you still get a chance to get some votes. But yeah, Sonny Gray's my backup.
Yeah. Only dying a little bit.
You got it.
My backup pick is a safe pick, but also not a safe pick at the same time. In a weird way, I went with Blake Snell. just because,
Okay.
he's won 2 Cy Youngs in the past. No one talks about how he threw a no-hitter last year. He
Mm-hmm.
Once he really got into it and once he actually got built up, he pitched awesome. He was one of the best starters in all of baseball, and he would have
Yeah.
been a lot higher in Cy Young rankings if it wasn't for him not signing it like that late.
Yeah.
So I really like Blake Snell. I was debating putting him as my winner,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. But for me, it's just the health. I feel like he's so up and down at points, but he
Yeah.
is just straight up one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I'll even say myself, I sleep on Blake Snell. I think a lot of people do sleep on Blake Snell when you really look at the body of work. And he is one of the best pitchers in baseball. There's a reason he got 182 some odd $1 million in the offseason. So,
Yeah.
but then again, the Dodgers um training staff is not known for being able to keep pitchers healthy. That's
Yeah.
another reason
Definitely.
why I put him. Obviously, not banking on injuries or anything like that, but that's another reason why he's second for me.
Yeah.
So,
This little off topic, but if Blake Snell wins 3 Cy Youngs,
is he a Hall of Famer?
yeah, right? Like, is he?
Is, is
Can
he
you
gonna
not have him in the Hall of Fame?
is he gonna just peek his way to a Cy Young or to a Hall of Famer?
Yeah. Like, how can you keep a guy out with off-field issues aside? How can you keep out someone with 3 Cy Youngs?
He doesn't have any outfield, does he?
No, I'm saying like for
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
who
No,
do.
I know what
I
you
don't. I
meant.
don't. I don't
I
believe he does.
I feel like the only really thing he did was the Hunter Renfro comment.
What was that? Which one was that? Was that the slapdick
Yeah,
prospect one?
slapdick
Yeah.
prospect. We just traded
Yeah.
Hunter Renfro for someone in a slapdick prospect.
Yeah. But
Other than that, I don't think he's
and if that's
done
just
anything.
funny. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's not even that bad. Like, yeah, you probably
Yeah.
shouldn't say that about a guy that's gonna be your teammate now,
Right.
but I don't. That's really it.
It's gonna be a very interesting conversation when his career is all said and done.
Yeah,
There's probably when his career is done, there's probably gonna be a very good argument for that. But
yeah. Because it's
it's
also a
neither
thing
here
of
nor
how
there.
we're valuing peak now.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure. He's like the epitome of the pitcher now.
yeah. Then going into I went AL Rookie of the Year for the next one. I don't know where you
Okay,
were going with it, but
that's
so
fine.
for Rookie of the Year, I have Jason Dominguez. I do not give two flying fucks. Potential 30-30 guy. He's a guy that the sky is the absolute limit for him. And if this lineup projects the way that I think it will project, I think he will have a phenomenal year. I He's been hitting the ball a lot harder. He's been playing a lot better in spring training as more and more has gone by. I'm so in on him. I know that there's probably maybe a couple better picks, but I just wanted to call my shot on Jason Dominguez.
I also chose Jason
You
Dominguez.
did.
I
Wunderbar.
did because the thing that gives him the most like lift for me is he's 99% chances starting on the opening day roster. A lot of these other guys, I really don't know when they're coming up. Like I really like Jackson Jobe. I don't know if or when he's getting called up this year. The Red Sox prospects, I don't know when they're like the three-headed monster. I don't know when any of them are getting called up. So that was kind of where I was looking at things. Is Jason Dominguez will be on the opening day roster. He's gonna play a full year. If all goes well, he's gonna just walk his way to a top three finish at the least in Rookie of the Year. Everyone else, I really don't know when they're coming up. Cam Smith on the Astros is really good. He's been having a good spring.
I was looking at
I
him too.
don't know if he's breaking camp with them either. He might be, but again, I don't know. So yeah, Dominguez just being on the opening day roster kind of just lifted him up for me. But no, you said everything. He's great. He has all the upside in the world. Uh, so just excited to see a full season from him.
Yeah. And then you mentioned him for my backup pick, but I'm going with Jackson Jobe.
Okay.
The fact that he's pitching in Detroit, I think already gives him a bump, first off. Second off, pitching in that division, which I've talked about so much, there's no good hitters in that division. There's two hitters that you can say that are good hitters. So I love Jackson Jobe. Like you said, though, it's just a thing of when is he actually going to get called up. He
Yeah.
also just has that confidence. For lack of a
Oh
better
yeah.
term, he has that aura
Yes.
of like an absolute elite starting pitcher that you need. Obviously, he's also a top 5 prospect in all of baseball, so that's another thing
Right.
that's going his way. Um, no, I really like Jackson Jobe. I just want Jason Dominguez because I think his upside is. And I think
Yeah.
another thing with Dominguez is he's kind of perfect for what the voters are looking for with the power.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
definitely. For my backup, I went with one of the three-headed monsters in Boston. I went with Kristen Campbell.
really,
They
not Anthony.
have openings in the middle infield. You know, David Hamilton and Trevor Story. Those are not jumping out at you. Especially Story, who's probably going to get hurt. It was between him or Marcelo Meyer, but I wasn't sure what the timelines were for each. But it seems like Campbell might have a quicker trek to the majors. Again, it's just a sake of playing time. But honestly, if any of these three guys come up from Boston, I can see all of them. I could see all of them finishing. Like one,
Yeah,
2, 3.
yeah.
Obviously, with Dominguez mixed in there as well, but Boston just has a lot of good prospects, and they're gonna be I think they're gonna be a fun team this year, and Kristen Campbell is probably gonna be right in the middle of that, especially if one of these guys just isn't it come May,
Yeah.
or Trevor Story's already hurt. Come May.
Yeah. And even like take out the fact like, oh, if Trevor Story's already hurt, something like that. What if he's just not good?
That too.
Because another
That too.
thing, when they signed him, like team said like his elbow was literally falling apart and we don't think that he'll be able to throw in like year 2 or 3 of the contract. It's what, year
Yeah.
3 of the contract?
Yeah.
So that I think maybe year 4.
Let's see.
Yeah, he's going into year 4 of the contract if my
Holy
memory
crap.
serves correct. So he may just not be good. He just may not be able to be in the field. And he signed what, a 5-year contract or a 6-year contract?
6.
6. Okay, I was gonna say 5. He may be a potential DFA option if he really is that bad.
Nah, it's a lot
But
of money.
6
But
is
yeah.
6 different story. But yeah, I can definitely see that. Then if you want to go into the NL,
Yeah. Moving on to the NL, I have James Wood as my rookie of the year. I feel like that unless I'm just, you know, not knowing or just don't know ball, I don't know I don't know a lot of rookies coming up for the NL teams this year. But what I do know is that the Nationals are one of those teams that have some really good rookies coming up. It's James Wood and Dylan Cruz, but I'm going with Wood just because he did it last year. He had a cup of coffee in the majors. He had a 120 WRC plus. All his underlying metrics looks really good. He has, his power is just insane. His defense, I think, should be at least average. I'm not sure how he grades out defensively. Last year was pretty bad, but we'll see how his defense goes. But no, he hits the ball hard. He hits in the air. He takes his walks. I think he's just a very, very good player, and he's a very complete player at such a young age. So, James Wood's my pick.
so I was looking at it and I did not see that James Wood was eligible. Everything I saw said he was not eligible, but everything I'm seeing
He
now
was
says
not.
he is. He is
Yeah,
now. But when I was
yeah,
looking
that's
at
what I
like
thought.
lists and like odds, he wasn't on there, so I thought he wasn't
Okay,
eligible. So, but just for content's sake, because I would have picked him if I knew that, but for
okay,
content's sake, I'm gonna go with Dylan Cruz because that's who I
okay.
originally had. Number 4 prospect in baseball. Didn't really look that good in when he was up. He's also number 2 pick about 2 years ago. I really like this Nationals lineup when it comes to just like how young they are. I think that if they were in a weaker division, they could be the Tigers of last year.
Yeah,
So you kind of get what I mean, where it's just like a young team that maybe gets carried by, say that Mackenzie Gore is just like, oh, I want to take a huge step now,
right,
and you just have a couple of guys that take that step. They could be a really gritty team, but I don't think, unfortunately, they can because of the division they're in. But yeah, I really like him, and I've talked a lot about divisions and like the pitching or hitting in it, whatever. Outside the Phillies rotation, what what really is there?
right.
You know what I mean? So
Also, quick note,
yeah,
because I just looked at Baseball Reference. James Wood did exceed rookie limits last year.
he
I
did.
thought he
Okay,
didn't. He did. Um, I was under the impression he didn't. So he obviously is not eligible.
Okay.
Um, so with that being said,
Are you gonna jump on
I'm
the
just
hype?
gonna
You're gonna jump
I'm
on
just
me?
gonna no, I think I'm just gonna use my backup because
Okay.
it's
So
stupid.
you don't
But
get a backup now
I won't get a backup because
you
I
cucked
I
yourself.
did not research enough. I could have sworn he was eligible still, but
Yeah.
that's on me. Uh, I'll take it. So with that being said, I don't know if you had anything else
I'm done on
you were
Cruz.
saying. With that being said, I guess my pick is now Roki Sasaki,
That's
who
my
was my
backup.
backup. Yeah. I have some issues with him. Kind of his fastball has not been playing good at all so far in his spring training like stuff models and stuff. It's a very bad fastball and he's not getting any whiffs on it. So it's a little scary, but the talent is obviously there, the splitter is obviously there. And the other thing is I just not sure how much the Dodgers are going to pitch him, honestly. I really don't know like what their plan for him is. So, yeah,
Because even
Roki
say
Sasaki.
he starts every turn in the rotation. I think they're probably gonna go a 6-man rotation. You kind of have to. I don't know if they said one way or the other what they're gonna do, but
Yeah.
they just have so many guys that are pitching. It's 2 guys from Japan or 3 guys from Japan, so they're so used to blah, 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 6-man rotation. You have a bunch of guys that get hurt a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised. So even if he does make every turn of the rotation, he may just not have the volume because they are doing a 6-man rotation.
Yeah. So
So
that's like his biggest thing. So
yeah,
that was like why he was my backup, but because I am dumb, he's now my pick.
I would say that I'd be more concerned about the injuries than
That's
anything
fair.
because he has had injuries in Japan. But
Yeah.
I also just it's so annoying that like it makes sense that he counts as like a prospect and he
Yeah,
counts
I
as
hate
like
it.
a rookie of the year pick. But
Yeah.
it's also at the same time like he pitched for how many years in professional baseball?
Yeah, he has four or five like
I think
four
more.
I think
Wasn't
four.
he 19? Oh no, because he's only 23. Jesus fuck, I forgot how
Yeah.
young he is.
Yeah,
Well, I
so
forgot how good he is. Um,
right.
yeah, no, so
But
that's a whole nother argument for a whole nother thing. But
absolutely.
yeah, so I went cruising Sasaki for my backup, and you
Yeah.
got cucked because you are not smart.
And cuz I'm a dummy and I forgot how rookie eligibility works.
Heh.
But the
um,
more I look at it, there doesn't seem to be a lot of rookies starting unless they get,
that's another thing too. That's
thrusted in like mid-season.
yeah.
I really, yeah, but
Then
whatever.
for my AL Manager of the Year pick, I'm going with the guy that I meant to pick 2 years ago, and if I did pick him, I would have been correct. I'm going with Bruce Bochy. He, it's more so a thing of calling my shot on the Rangers. It's,
Okay.
I think the Rangers are probably the highest variance team in baseball this year. Would that
Right.
be crazy to
Yeah, that's
say?
fair.
Where the range of
Yeah, I
outcomes is
mean,
so wide just because of how much injury question marks they have on their team. But if they stay healthy, you saw what they did in 2023.
last week I picked them to win the division, and the following days, half the rotation got hurt.
Really, I didn't
Cody
even see that.
Bradford's hurt. John Gray broke his hand. Um,
Throwing hand.
I don't know. I forget.
I'll look it up.
Who
Just
who else got hurt? I think someone else got hurt. Uh, uh, no, it's just those two, Cody
it was
Bradford and
right
John
wrist
Gray.
fracture.
Yeah, so
So his
that's his
throwing
throwing
hand.
hand. So he's gonna be out for a while. So Rangers fans, I'm sorry I gave you the kiss of death. But that being said, my manager of the year pick is AJ Hinch of the Detroit Tigers. Very similar reasoning, calling my shot on the Tigers. I have them finishing second in the division. He pushed all the right buttons down the stretch last year. You know, say what you want about the Astro scandal and everything. He is still a very good manager, and he obviously has a very young team, so he's going to be a little more important than maybe other managers, especially in the clubhouse, because it's such a young team. But I like the Tigers. I like AJ Hinch. Again, he pushed all the right buttons down the stretch heading into the playoffs. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that pick. Obviously, we're not doing backup picks for managers
Yeah.
because that would be something very bad would have to happen if we did
Yes.
do backup picks. But then moving on to the NL, Mr. O'Brien.
For that now, I went with Mr. Craig Counsell of
Fuck
the
you.
Chicago Cubs, leading the Cubbies to their first division title since 2020. Since 2020. So, yeah, I was looking around, like, kind of like, because, when it comes to manager of the year, I feel like it's a lot of, oh, this team was really bad. Now they're good. And there's not a lot of that. Or there's not, or at least I think there's not a big possibility of that. The biggest one is the Cubs going from like a third place team to winning the division. But everything else, like the NL East, we think is going to fall very similarly to last year. The NL West, we think are going to fall very similar to last year. So it's like, team is good. It's good. It's going to be hard for them to win manager of the year. Craig Counsell has the best shot out of everyone, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I just love the Cubs this year, so I think it's a safe pick, while also being a smart pick.
Yeah.
Not to hype us up, but har. But no, I really like Craig Counsell this year for the manager of the year pick. It's also a guy that's done it in the past. He's
Yeah.
taken subpar rosters to two division championships, or well, yeah, technically division championships, but like to winning the division. So I really like that.
Yep.
Going into the AL relief pitcher of the year, I went with Mason Miller. I
So
just
did
think
I.
the sky is
Yeah.
the fucking limit for this kid, dude. It's crazy. He had a 2.49 ERA last year, 1.77 expected ERA. So his expected ERA was about 0.7 lower.
Yeah.
He had a 41% K percentage last year with an 8.4 walk percentage. He
So
should
good.
not be able to have that good of control throwing that hard.
He's so good.
He is absurd. The only obvious question mark is injuries. He dealt with injuries last year.
Yeah.
When you're throwing that hard, you're going to deal with it, especially as a reliever. But I am so in on Mason Miller this year.
Yeah.
I
I
didn't
love Mason
think
Miller.
I was going to pick him, but then I started looking at the numbers. I'm like, how can I not pick him?
Yeah. And the other thing too is like I I think the Athletics are gonna be a better team. So I think he's gonna have more save chances, which are
That too.
obviously gonna bump his stock. But yeah, he's just insane. He led AL relief pitchers in expected FIP, K-win walk rate, and skill independent ERA. Um, yeah, he's insane,
You just
and
picked him because he's diabetic.
that too. He's cool
Represent.
like that. Represent. But yeah, who's your backup, Mr. Alonso?
I think you know who my backup is.
I don't.
Devin Williams.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
He was almost my pick.
Mm.
Just because he's one of those guys, a 2-time relief pitcher, the winner in his career. And he just is disgusting. Everyone know that. Even last year, he had a phenomenal year. If he didn't miss time, he probably wins it last year.
Yeah.
So that's my backup pick. I just went Mason Miller because I didn't want to put too many Yankees. And I also think Mason Miller just has a higher chance to win it just because of how fucking absurd he is. It's just going to come down to how good the Athletics are. But
Yeah.
that's kind of a common theme you'll see with my picks for rookie or for relief pitcher of the year. I went with, I think, the best teams, except for Mason Miller and the Athletics. But that's just because
Yeah,
Mason Miller
which is
so
fair.
so talented.
Yeah. My backup is Griffin Jacks. Now, he's not the closer for the Twins, but this guy is just one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. And I would argue he probably should be the closer for the Twins. Last year, he was second in WAR, second in expected FIP, second in FIP. Where is he? Sixth in ERA. I mean, this guy's just insane. He, if if he was the closer, I think he'd be one of the best closers in baseball. And he's third in K- walk rate, just behind Cade Smith and Mason Miller. Again, the biggest thing is he's not the closer, so he's not going to get the saves. But when it comes to relief pitcher of the year, you got to give some love to like just the high leverage guys. It's not always the closers, right? So Griffin Jax would be my backup. I think if he was the closer, he might have been my pick. But for now, he stays as the backup.
And just one note I wanted to have on Emmanuel Clase. I think guys are starting to figure him out. Phenomenal year last year, whatever. But you saw in the playoffs, he was not good whatsoever. Could just be a guy that's not good in the playoffs, whatever. But we talked a lot about the new pitching tragic, whatever it's called, pitching machine. And when it comes to those guys that have the outlier pitches, they aren't going to be as good because you could see that pitch more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I didn't really consider him that much. I don't know
Neither
about
did
you,
I.
but
He's also not going to have a .6 ERA ever
yeah,
again. Like
yeah.
this,
So
there is a lot of luck involved because it's a reliever. There's a lot of luck
yeah, lower
involved,
innings.
right, in an ERA as low as that. He's still
Yeah.
a very good pitcher. He's still, fourth and fifth. Expected ERA is fucking dog shit, so it just killed my leaderboard. Expected FIP, he's fifth, so like still very good, but he's not .61 good.
Hmm.
So, but moving on
And
to the National League, way ahead of you.
wait a minute.
I'm gonna sneeze eventually. It's coming. I'm just warning you now.
Just hurry up, hurry up, hurry up,
I
hurry up.
can't. But for the National League, I went a little out of the box or outside the box. I'm going with Justin Martinez, the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was 15th in FIP, 9th in expected FIP, 37th in K minus walk rate, but that's with a 29.5 K percentage and an 11.7 walk percentage. So obviously that's the big thing. He needs to bring the walks down. 23rd in skill independent ERA, and then the biggest thing, fourth in stuff plus among National League relievers. Um, the Diamondbacks don't really have like a set closer. It's kind of him and AJ Puck. I think Justin Martinez is going to take that closer role in Arizona, so that's kind of my reasoning behind it. But he also throws like 103. He has a disgusting. I think it's a splitter, if I'm not wrong. But he's insane. And there's not really a ton of options there to begin with.
Yeah. Um, I
Um,
went with Tanner Scott because fuck the Dodgers.
yeah.
That's my
See,
only
is
note
he the
on him.
closer? I was looking at him too. I don't know because they have so many high end relievers.
I don't know. I just think that you're on a team as good as the Dodgers. I think that you're gonna get votes thrown your way if he is the closer, especially with how much money they paid in the offseason. I feel like he's gonna start as the closer.
That's
The
fair.
only issue is that the Dodgers may be so good that they just don't get save attempts.
Right. Yeah.
That may
There
be
might not
like
be
the
any
only issue there.
opportunities.
Yeah, he may just not
That's a
get
good
saves
point.
because there's not save attempts with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
I didn't think about it either until I started talking. Um, yeah, just because they're so fuck the
Yeah.
Dodgers. But go on.
Yeah. And then my backup, I'm just going with Edwin Diaz. I think,
That's fair.
again, the closer kind of role in the National League is a little middling, I guess. Raisel Iglesias is another good. Uh, oh my God, I can't speak. Whatever. He's also a good closer. Holy crap, on
Jesus
the
Christ.
Braves. Yeah. Jordan Romano was on the Blue Jays, now in the Phillies. If he's healthy, he's been one of the best closers in baseball. And then
Cam
after that,
Richardson.
it's yeah, Ryan Presley on the Cubs. You know, obviously the Brewers are gonna make Trevor McGill into one of the best relievers in baseball. Alexis Diaz doesn't do it for me. David Bendar is washed. After that, there's not a ton of great options and or like established closers. So I think Edwin Diaz is just, a safer pick
Yeah.
because he's in that closer role. He's going to get the chances.
Yeah. I really appreciate you because you gave me a really good setup. I went with Rafael Iglesias
Okay.
for my backup pick. It's also just a pick of the best closer on a team that I think is going to be probably the second best team in the National League. So I think that's really
Fair.
all it comes down to. Just how much I love the Braves and how many save attempts. Because unlike the Dodgers, they're not that dominant team. They're a very, 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 very good team, but they don't have
Yeah.
like an all-star team. Well,
Yeah.
they do at certain positions, but not to the Dodgers level. So I really
Yeah,
like him overall, but that's all I had for.
for sure. Yeah.
So
My one
go,
quick thing,
go.
one quick thing, and I lost it. I had it and it was gone. Oh yes, the Mets are probably gonna rely heavily on the bullpen. I think. Um, Starting rotation obviously is say what you want, what it is. But it's not fantastic on paper. So there might be a lot of 7-6 wins, or 5-4 wins, and you're gonna need Edwin Diaz and co to kind of lock things up. So that's also another thing. But carry on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, going into the final award, the comeback player of the year award. I went with big names, the American League. My pick, I know who your pick is based off the video you sent me yesterday. My pick is Mike Trout. It's
Okay,
just gonna come down to the injuries, but he's still, whenever he plays baseball, he's insane. That also goes for your
that's fair.
pick too, but I just love Mike Trout so much. I just think that it's another thing like Max Fried that I think he just deserves a shout, deserves to still be in something like this.
Yeah.
So, because if he could just stay healthy, man, he could win the MVP. Mike Trout,
Oh,
if Mike
absolutely.
Trout plays 150 games, there is a decent chance he wins the MVP.
You
So
know, it makes me sad because I didn't even think about Mike Trout while doing this.
that's like the level that
That's how bad it's
that's
been.
how bad it's gotten.
Like I didn't even think
But
about him.
he's still a top player in baseball.
Yeah, never considered him at all.
Yeah,
Which now that you said it is making me very very sad.
it's such like a home run of a pick, right?
Yeah, no,
Too.
it should be. It should be. I hope so. I hope so. But my pick, I have in my notes. I have please, 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 please. I don't care that you left me. I don't care that you're in Texas. Jacob DeGrom is my comeback player of the year pick. Just pitch 120 innings. 120 innings, and on a per inning basis, he's going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball. Just give me 120. That's all I'm asking for. And he's finally learning he doesn't need to sit at 100. After all these years, he finally realized he doesn't need to throw 102 every single pitch. If you throw 97, that's fine. You won 2 Cy Youngs throwing 97 and topping out at 100. That's fine. Just stay healthy. Please. I want to see him succeed. As
That's
much
why
as it
he's my
pains me.
backup pick.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, it's a
that's
good.
it. That's it. Like that's why he's my backup pick.
Yeah. My backup pick's Felix Bautista on the Orioles.
Yeah,
Eh, it's whatever. Again,
still Mike Trout.
I didn't consider Mike Trout at all, which makes me sad. And I couldn't think of anyone else coming back from injury. So it's Felix Bautista because I hate when comeback player of the years are, wow, you were god awful last year, but you were pretty good this year. So here you go.
Yeah.
But Jacob
Look
DeGrom,
at the
please.
NFL with fucking Joe Flacco having 4 good games versus DeMar Hamlin, who died on the field.
Right. It's so stupid. But moving on to National League comeback player of the year. I was flip flopping between my backup and this guy for a bit, but I finally settled on Spencer Strider. Um, it has more to do
When is he gonna be
with
ready? First off,
he should be back in May. It sounds
okay,
like
okay.
sometime in May. Both of these guys, because both of these guys are Braves. Shocker. But Strider obviously missed all the last year after making 2 starts. But in 2023, he was still one of the best pitchers in baseball. He didn't have a great ERA, but a lot of the underlying stuff loved him. He throws 100. He has a good slider. I think he toyed with a curveball last year, which graded out really good. Um, I just think he is a very good pitcher, but this has more to do with my backup than him. So if you want to say your pick before we talk about backups,
I went. Both my picks are pitchers.
okay.
I think this is just a guy that people forget how absurdly dominant he was in Sandy Alcantara. My only
That's a good one.
bugaboo about him is if he gets traded, how that's
Yeah,
gonna work. That was like the
yeah,
only thing of I don't know how that's gonna work, but I think he's just so unimaginably talented, and he is just such a workhorse. And the
definitely.
Marlins are gonna need him to. They're probably gonna pitch him a little bit more than they probably should for
Probably
the long
shouldn't.
term health. But
Yeah,
I just love him. He's People forget how dominant his Cy Young year was, so I could see him having a really big bounce back year in a very, very pitcher friendly ballpark.
yeah, for sure. Sandy's a good pick. I can honestly see it. I wouldn't be shocked. But my backup is Ronald Acuna Jr. And the only reason he's not my comeback player of the year pick, 'cause I don't know how he's gonna be coming back.
Yeah, I'm
Two
scared of that
two
too.
ACLs is not
Both,
like nothing. Yeah,
both.
it's not nothing to scoff at. This is his speed can be like absolutely killed. I'm not sure, obviously, because we haven't seen him, but he already said it. Like he's not gonna steal 70 bags. He'll probably steal 40. Is he gonna be able to steal 40?
Is he
How's his
gonna
defense gonna be?
is he gonna be as good of a hitter with that many lower body injuries and be able to even have the opportunity to steal 40 bases?
Right. So I'm just a little concerned. The talent is there. There's obviously no
100%.
denying that, no argument against it. But I'm just a little scared on how he's gonna come back from this. Because obviously, he came back from his first ACL. He was kind of a little, he was meh in the like half of the year he played, and obviously won MVP. So, are we gonna get MVP again, or are we gonna get meh for the year? I really don't know. That's kind of when I feel like Strider is a little safer because yes, it's Tommy John, but everyone comes back from Tommy John. It's
Yeah, I
just a matter
believe
of
he also
volume
got
for him.
bracing too.
I think so too. Yeah.
Um,
So
but another thing with Acuna too is we saw this with Gavin Lux last year, where he started the year. Second half, the first half he was abysmal. Second half,
yeah,
he did really well. He was a guy I wanted the Yankees to trade for before the Reds did. So that kind of also goes into it too. That I don't think he's gonna have a full year of being good enough, especially with
right,
him only coming back in May is like the ideal
right.
start. But it's just the whole ACL scares me because you,
Yeah,
especially for this year, because
absolutely.
you see it in football all the time. Of a guy tears his ACL, first year back he is not good enough. Second year back, once he gets more confident on the knee, something like that, a lot better. So, no, I just don't like what. Yeah, it's comeback player of the year, so obviously there's gonna be a shit ton of risk, and it's more like calling your shot. But the risk is so high for me. You're gonna like my pick. I'm going with Kodai Senga. He dealt with
Oh,
so
okay.
many injuries. I love the pitcher. He had a phenomenal rookie year. The Mets are gonna have to heavily rely on him. That may hurt
That
them
might
and
hurt
hurt
him.
him
Yeah,
in the end. But I'm going with two guys that are gonna have to be heavily relied on in their rotation. My comeback
yeah,
player of the year.
that's fair. Obviously, Senga's a good pick. Um, it's just for me when it comes to Senga, it's not that I don't think he'll be healthy. I don't think
Need to
he's gonna
see
be
it.
like 2023. Yeah, and I just need to see it. Like, what what's his availability? What's the performance like? But I think Strider is obviously a better pitcher than him. And on a per inning basis, I'm sure Strider's probably going to put up some better numbers than Senga as well. But still love the pick, and obviously, if he is the comeback player of the year, then obviously something went very very well. So I'd love to see that as well.
Yeah,
But
that's all we
that's it.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want to like quickly kind of just go through like
yeah,
a quick rundown of our picks?
yeah. So for the AL, I had Aaron Judge with Vladimir Guerrero for or AL MVP. Aaron Judge, Vlad for my backup. Then
Yeah, I had Aaron Judge as well for my MVP and backup Gunnar Henderson.
and then for my NL, I had Kyle Tucker winning. Juan Soto as my backup.
Yep, I had Fernando Tatis Jr. with Ketel Marte as backup.
So for AL Cy Young, I had Cole Reagans winning. Max Fried for the backup.
I got Logan Gilbert with Terry Skubal backup.
For NL Cy Young, I did Paul Skeens, Blake Snell for the backup.
Yep, I went Zach Wheeler with Sonny Gray.
For Rookie of the Year, Jason Dominguez, and then Jackson Jobe for the backup.
I also had Dominguez and then Kristen Campbell as my backup.
NL, I got Dylan Cruz and then Roki Saki for the backup.
I fucked up. Soroki Sasaki is my pick, and I have no backup.
For manager of the year, I just went Bochy and then Craig Counsell.
Yeah, I went AJ Hinch and Craig Counsell.
Yeah, and then for relief pitcher of the year, I got Mason Miller with Devin Williams as my backup.
Yep, I got Mason Miller, Griffin Jacks.
Then NL relief pitcher of the year, Tanner Scott, Marcelo Iglesias.
Justin Martinez and Edwin Diaz.
Comeback player of the year, I had Mike Trout because Nick disrespect the GOAT from New Jersey. Then Jacob DeGrom is my backup.
I had Jacob DeGrom as my pick and Felix Bautista as my backup.
Then NL comeback player of the year, I had Sandy Alcantara and then Kodai Senga.
And I had Spencer Strider for Ronald Acuna, very close behind.
Yeah. We're going to get a lot of good content on these. We're going to get a lot of good reactions on these.
I think so. You guys loved us on TikTok for the divisions.
So,
but
yeah,
those are our award picks.
Next week we got over-unders.
Yes, we do. And then after that,
we got spicy hot takes. I already know a couple of the ones that I'm going for.
Yeah,
I already know.
I'm gonna think of them on the plane while I'm going to.
I'm thinking
Florida.
You know when you take like a monster shit and it like burns. That's what I'm thinking for some of mine. I need that feeling of spice.
Quite the metaphor. That's a metaphor of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But that being said, Justin, got anything to wrap us up? Anything else to add? All right. So with that being said, those are our award picks. Let us know in the comments who your award picks are. Where do we differ? Why do you hate it? Why do you hate me? You know, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, remember to follow the podcast there. Leave us a 5-star rating. Lets us know that you're enjoying it. It really helps us out. Remember to follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. And that's all of them. So, with that being said, thank you guys again, and we'll see you in the next episode.